Hey there. Welcome back to Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves. We are nearly halfway through season 2. I'm your host, Ike, and before we get too far underway, I'd like to just say thanks for being here and helping my dreams come true and giving this pod a listen. I appreciate that you chose to take this time and give me and my guest a listen. Thanks. If you still have time and you enjoyed this episode, if you wouldn't mind, as it is the holiday season, taking a second to share this with someone who you think would like it, or, just subscribe. That would mean a lot. Thanks. Today I'm talking to my good friend Bruce Lee. Not the master of the 1 inch punch, but master of the little bit more than 1 inch piece of cardboard. He's a guy I've known for, I think, year and a half now. He's one of the first people I ever met when beginning to play Magic here in Los Angeles. He's a very funny guy with a great heart and a fellow lover of cinema as well. And we just got to sit down and have a lovely chat. So I hope you enjoy that. As far as my world's going on, I just realized I'm doing this kind of backwards. But still teaching in South Central Los Angeles. New opportunities come up where I'm going to be taking less of a front and center role and doing more of like one-on-one and kind of helping in the background, which I'm hoping will make the process of teaching, which I believe I've talked with you guys about. I'm assuming I have. Lots going on in my world, so I apologize if I'm repeating stuff or saying stuff if I've never said it before. But so taking a little bit more of a background role, but I think that's going to be better for me, and I think it's going to be better for the kids, and that's what I'm hoping, that we both get to kind of give each other what kind of both what we need. In other news, I guess Christmas is coming up. Starting to get a little cold here in Los Angeles. The I don't know about y'all, but I'm sleeping 2 blankets deep, and it's cozy, but I've been noticing that I move around a lot in my sleep, so I wake up with one of them on the floor, which is kind of funny. Um, it's really weird. I don't know if you guys have that, but I'm noticing that like my conscious self, my unconscious self are two different people. I think my unconscious self is likes to sleep in the cold, and my conscious self likes to sleep in the warm. It's really weird, but um, yeah, very peculiar. Uh, just yesterday, I hope he's listening, but friend and guest of the podcast, Bradley, the referee, just won a Magic tournament, qualifying him to also go to the regional championship this April in San Diego. So he and I get to hopefully test together and go there and hang out together, which is gonna be really awesome. So congratulations, Bradley. I hope you hear this. Um, a nicer guy couldn't be, and more deserving of such an accolade. So good job, buddy. Other than that, oh, I'm trying this new writing thing. I've been having, I don't know if I've said it on here, if people have gleaned it from the way I talk about it. One of the things I have difficulty doing is writing. And I'm curious, I'm testing a new theory of trying just writing stream of consciousness and then taking that and winnowing it down and kind of putting it in the right format. So making the writing, instead of trying to make it this arduous process that I can't seem to do without getting annoyed, perturbed, and really ruining my flow and kind of taking away from the process, I'm wondering if I try doing it in multiple steps, where that might be seeming on its surface technically slower. I think it might be an easier gate of entry for me to, kind of get back into the flow of writing. So I'm going to be trying that in the coming weeks. I'll do my best to remind myself to do it and then check back with you guys. So I look forward to that. Anyway, so enjoy this interview with Bruce Lee. I hope you have as much fun listening to it as I had recording. This was a lot of fun to chat with Bruce. So without further ado, enjoy the episode. All right, folks, we're here with them. Today we have with us a filmtastic fellow, a majestic magician, a purveyor of parties, and the maestro of the 1-inch pieces of cardboard, Bruce Lee! What's going on, buddy?
Not much, dude. First time being on a podcast.
Already knocking out of the park. Came in on your cue.
Sick.
Well, as you are a filmtastic fellow, do you have a favorite movie line that you like to quote? Just cuz?
That's rough, buddy. From Avatar: The Last Airbender.
The show, of
The show,
course.
of course. The movie doesn't exist.
Speaking of movies, do you remember your first date movie?
Dude, Polar Express when I was in like the second grade, dude, I think.
Damn, coming in classy. You wait, hold on. You had a movie. You went on your first movie date when you were in the second grade?
I think so, yeah. That's the first thing I remember. It was me.
Boys got moves.
Yeah, it was like me and
Christmas
some girl.
movie, no less.
Yeah. It was me and some girl. We just sat there together and I just watched Polar Express while eating popcorn. That's all I remember.
That's all you need to remember. All right, where do you stand on that movie as someone, slight spoiler alert, is very much about that film life? Because that movie was kind of groundbreaking, right? It had like one of the first, was it mocap, or didn't it like do something that no movie did before it?
Yeah, I
And
think
like in regards to like cinematography?
Yeah, I think it was motion capture, like a really good motion capture. It was like I forget, man. I haven't really like watched Polar Express in like years since like
Yeah.
But I really like that movie. It's like one of the few movies that I like remember
Still
as a
holds up.
kid. Like the first two
Yeah.
movies I've ever watched in my life were that and Shrek 2. So,
Man, coming in hot, just banger after banger on your first two watches. That's pretty strong film choice, even at such a young age.
yeah, dude, it was so my parents are very Asian. They didn't believe in movie theaters. And so
Like they didn't believe they existed.
no, they just didn't believe in going to them. You know what I mean? And so like I just
Okay.
kind of ended up going with like some friends or like for like a school field trip, and I was like, oh, this is sick.
We're gonna circle back to that notion later. That's very fascinating. So, do you have a favorite non-exercise thing that you have to force yourself to do, but you're very glad that you do it after you've done it?
Like non-exercise, as in just like something I do normally.
Yeah, like for me, for instance, as an example, I have to force myself to write. I enjoy it once I get into it. I feel great that I've done it afterwards, and I'm very proud of my product. But to sit down and put pen to paper or, finger to keyboard is like, I think I would rather do my taxes every day than like type my first word.
Oh yeah. If I wanted to be very cynical, I'd say waking up would be one of the things.
Getting out of bed?
Yeah. Um, I don't know. There's not a lot of like. I guess the same with you writing. It's like I'm trying to like write or like create this like film for like film school and like the future and like trying to run the film circuit. So like me trying to like come up with ideas and write it down is something one of the big things that I'm like proud of accomplishing every day.
Nice. So as someone else that is in that writing lifestyle, what is your trick for making it work? Do you have like a set time? Do you not allow yourself to not do something until you like, do you set it as like a chore that gives a reward? How do you get yourself through that? Do you have any tips or tricks?
For me, it's mainly like I kind of put it in the back of my mind, and like if I have an idea, I like grab my phone and like write it down on like my phone, and then try to like think about it later. And that doesn't usually happen. I'm having a lot of trouble with it still. Like it's still in like the 1% phase.
Yeah.
But like in the middle of the night or like before I go to bed, I'll have this like great idea that I think is fucking amazing, and I'll like go to my phone and be like, all right, cool, I'll write this down and I'll look at it later. Sometimes I don't look at it. Sometimes I wake up and I think it's bullshit. So
It's a very spur of the moment kind of practice. Like it. All right, from the spur of the moment to the spark that fills your life, do you have a life hack that you'd like to share with the class to improve their daily living?
Life hack, life hack, life hack. I'm drawing a blank here, dude. I don't have one.
He's just living life so purely he doesn't need to hack it at all.
I mean, I definitely shortcut a bunch of things in my head that
Okay,
I do normally. I just don't think they're life hacks. I think they're annoying anyway.
what's your most utilized shortcut?
Doing everything, like when I'm doing paperwork or data entry, I'll do
Hmm.
all of one thing, and then I'll move on to the next thing and do all of that, and then the next thing. It's like just categories. And so, like for example, if I'm doing like numbers, and then I'll doing like if I'm recording like tapes, like how many, like what number the
Hmm.
tape is, what it is, and then like descriptions. I do all the numbers first, and then I'll do all the names of the tapes then, and then I'll do all the descriptions.
Oh, okay. So you don't take the one thing and go across. You go down, like column down,
Yeah, I
right?
go down.
So it's just like each number. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
so I focus.
And that like so that gives you like it. Do you think that makes the job? Is that kind of like the acorn theory where it separates the job into like less monotony or less difficulty, or is it just like is easier for you to focus on like downward columns? How do you think that helps you?
I think it helps me focus on like just making it faster. For example, if it's numbers, I don't have to think about letters or anything. I just kind of go down the list.
Mm.
And if it's like if it's like names, it's like short, so I can like go like,
Hmm.
oh, like cats, enter dogs,
Yeah.
cats, whatever, right? And then
Yeah.
descriptions can
It
obviously take
bisects
longer,
it.
and it's
Yeah.
like,
That's really cool. I would never have thought to do something like that. If I'm ever in that situation, I'm definitely gonna use that. And obviously, if it doesn't work, I'm gonna blame you and hunt you down.
listen, man, my brain works differently, man. I know. You've seen me play Magic, man. My brain works
I was...
fucking differently.
Speaking of things that help you, is there a life lesson that you wish you learned sooner?
Yeah. So my one time I was on shrooms, no, not shrooms, on LSD, and I was coming off of it in the morning, and I accidentally called my dad. And
Seems like a great time to have a phone call with the parental unit.
yeah, and I was just like trying to keep normal, and my dad was like, "Oh, why'd you call?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just wanted to call you." And he was like, "The instead of a lecture, he tells me, just remember, life is a marathon, not a sprint." And I'm just like, "Whoa." Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
one of the better conversations I've ever had with my father. So
that's
yeah,
awesome. It's a very serendipitous time to get that kind of intel too. You're just like coming down off this like almost like extraterrestrial high talking to your dad when you're like trying to keep your cool. That's so rad.
yeah, it was a little like scary.
I'll bet. It's like play it cool. It's like you're high getting pulled over by the cops. You're like, everything's normal.
Hey,
They won't know.
I'm really good at it apparently. So you saw it this last weekend in Atlanta.
I did. All right, skipping back to something a little bit more hearthy. What's your favorite meal to make just for yourself, assuming cost and time are not relevant factors?
Oh, dude, that's a very big question. Dude, you know me. I like to eat, and I also like really like to cook. Let's see here.
If you want to use a tiebreaker, what's the one you did most recently?
Most recently, I made these pork belly Brussels sprouts with miso,
Oh,
butter, and honey.
damn, son. Sounds delicious.
Dude, it's freaking delicious. It's so it's salty because of um the miso paste. It's like
Hmm.
really buttery and fatty due to like like the pork belly like grease basically, but like also the butter gives it like a nice little like full flavor, and then the honey kind of just
Hmm.
evens it out. And then you can do like a little bit of acidity on
Yeah.
it to like give it a little bit more extra like cut on the fat like at the end. It's
Hmm.
so nice.
That's so dope. Damn. Ugh. This is a should have eaten more recently. I had food before this podcast, but clearly I didn't have enough.
Hey man, like if you want to be on another podcast and now we talk about food, food's my second hobby. So
All right. Well, as it's your second hobby, and most food needs a condiment, if you were a condiment, which do you think you would be?
oh, easy soy sauce,
Why?
dude. Number one, I'm Asian. It also goes on everything, almost everything.
True facts.
Yes,
Just like Bruce Lee, goes on everything.
not everything.
Have you ever? This was an interesting one that a friend of mine who was a fun, like an experimental home chef and worked in many a fine dining uh, restaurant. Have you ever tried soy sauce? Just a skosh, just a little bit on vanilla ice cream.
I have not.
It's kind of like that, like it gives it that like salted caramel kind of uh I can't think of the right kind of word to give it justice, but it's this little, just this little bit, just a little scant bit, and it's like it's weird. It definitely is not for everyone. A lot of people have, shunned me from conversations for postulating such an idea, but it's like fun little, like, I don't know, it gives it balances out the sweetness from the vanilla ice cream with just a little bit salty.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Especially when you think about people who dip French fries into milkshakes.
I mean, that's just good, clean living right there.
But listen, man, soy sauce has a bad connotation with like sweet food. So,
Fair enough, fair enough.
but you also like eat mochi with soy sauce.
Oh, you're supposed to? I didn't know
No, no,
that.
no, no, no. I
Also
mean,
never
like,
had
there's a
mochi.
type of mochi that you eat. Like, it's like grilled. It's
Uh,
not super sweet, but like
mm.
you eat it with soy sauce.
Hmm.
It's like a Japanese like mochi kind of thing. It's like I forget what it's called.
Hmm. That sounds delightful. I'll have to find a place. I'll look for that. I'll scour that on the menus next time I'm out at an Asian establishment. In
Okay,
hopes of living this life.
I'll let you know
Sounds
if I remember the name and everything. But yeah,
dope. Sweet. All right. Speaking of lunch and food and going out to eat, who's someone you've never met, alive or dead, that you'd like to have a meal with?
that's also really hard.
That's what we do here on Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves. We ask the hard-hitting questions.
Let's see, someone who I want to meet, who I would have a meal with. Let's see, probably Bruce Lee, honestly.
Bruce meets Bruce.
Yeah,
That sounds like a short film I'd watch.
it'd be like a little
Where would you
documentary.
Where would you take him out for lunch?
We probably go for like Hong Kong food or like Chinese food, just
Mm,
because like he's probably his like taste in food is probably from that region, and
yeah.
uh I don't know, like I feel like he'd eat a lot healthier than I would, or he would just like be like The Rock and just eat like 10 donuts and not feel a thing.
Yeah, exactly. I hate that it's either one or the other. Either like I work out enough I can eat this whole pastry shop, or I treat my body like a temple. There's no people that like have like a balance in between.
Yeah.
So funny. All right. Speaking of going out somewhere, I'm gonna pitch you this hypothetical. You're going out to a party and you want to look extra. Other than your normal garb, what accessory do you add to your ensemble to really pop?
Uh, let's see here. A watch.
Yeah.
And like something to throw over my shirt. So I literally go out in like sneakers, a pair of jeans, a black t-shirt, sometimes like an open jacket or like a open flannel, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'll have like a watch on, and I have my like gold chain on. I have it on all the time, so it's like my normal garb anyway, but like
Mm-hmm.
I'll untuck it if I feel safe enough.
Let the people see the
Yeah.
shiny.
Yeah, it's like apparently if people get too close, it's an eye catcher. It starts conversations. Because it's like real gold. It's 24 karat gold, like all around. It doesn't have a clasp, but it never comes off me. And it's like
Right on.
and it doesn't come off me ever. Like I've taken
Yeah.
it off maybe like once or twice. I sleep with it, shower with it, swim with it, and it's just like a little like rectangle that looks like a golden magic card, but it's just like a Chinese exploration ship, and like there's like a Chinese inscription in the back, and people are like, oh,
That's dope.
yeah, it's just a boat,
That's so cool.
and
That's rad.
and so people are just like always like when they get super close and they're like, oh, your chain's so dope, and I'm like, yeah. He's like, can I touch it? I'm like, not really.
All right, well, going from top tier to bottom rung, what poor man luxury do you still enjoy to this day?
Spam. I definitely enjoy spam still.
Yeah.
Yeah, spam is
How do you like to have your spam?
spam goes in everything, dude. So sometimes I like chop it up and put it in like my ramen,
Word.
or I make spam musubis out of it, or I just like fry it with some eggs and eat it with like white rice and soy sauce.
Man, I really should have had food before I came on this place. This is getting bad.
This is your podcast, bro. I was waiting for you.
Oh, I'm so hungry. My stomach's just like it's inaudible because I'm covered in head to toe with like warm fuzzies because my freaking room is freezing right now. But oh man, if it could talk, it would say, "Feed me, Seymour." Um, yeah, it sounds. I love me some spam masui. I'm glad that spam is starting to make a comeback, and at least it feels like to me is making a comeback in the American audience. I feel like for the longest time it was like, oh, you're poor, you eat spam, and now people are like, no, it's actually just dope, son.
People just think spam's gross because it's like an emulsification of like just a bunch of like random parts.
Yeah,
I think spam's dope, but like that's just me.
I mean, you think correctly.
I'm also from an island where spam is like a big thing.
Big deal. You're from Saipan? Am I
Yeah,
pronouncing it correctly?
yeah.
How So it sounds like in Saipan it's viewed very differently. The United States. Have you noticed? You might have been a little young, but do you remember how it compares price wise in Saipan versus the United States? Was it like more expensive there, or was it just like culturally more appreciated as more of a luxury item, or at least not like kind of looked down on?
Well, anything that was imported from like the United States to Saipan was pretty expensive.
Hmm.
Like milk was expensive. Um, like name brand like Doritos and like Cheetos and stuff were expensive. But anything that we could like get from like Asia or like anything was pretty cheap. And the housing market's
Hmm.
pretty freaking cheap out there too. So
Yeah. So Spain not only was more appreciated, but it was also a little bit more costly out there. It sounds like.
a little bit. It kind of just depends where you got it from. I guess where we imported
Hmm.
it from.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Well, talking about inanimate objects has got me thinking. What inanimate object would you be best friends with? Were it sentient?
Um, it's a real good question. I'm pretty sure it'd be my laptop or my fridge or my fridge.
Yes, go with the fridge.
It'd probably be my fridge.
You talk to it frequently. You ostensibly give it high fives when you open and close it.
I just ask
You
what's in it.
know, yeah. Should I throw out this milk or is it good to eat?
Yeah, I'd be like, what should I make today? Like, what do you not want to keep inside of you today?
Yeah, exactly. How can we help each other? What's this mutually beneficial exchange that I can get this out of you, you'll feel good, and I'll feel good having eaten it?
Yeah.
Let's make a deal.
How much beer do you want in you today?
Yeah, ostensibly you're like the best drinking buddies, right? You give it beer and it gives it back to you. You both get to have a sip. It's
And
great.
it's not gross.
Yeah, exactly.
He just keeps it cool for me.
Ah, keeps it cool. I see what you did there. Ah.
I'm not that funny, Isaac.
Ah, I think so.
Thanks.
All right. And to show the world that you are that funny, who would you want to play you in a movie of your life? You can choose the time period of the actor and of your life that they are portraying.
uh, let's see here. I know I have an image of him in my head because I remember him from when I was a kid, but I don't know his name. Uh,
Give me a film he was in.
dude, it's some Chinese, like old Chinese Shaolin monk films, dude. Like I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember like squat. Like
Okay.
I remember. I think his. I think my mom told me. I remember one time his name is Si Xiaolong or whatever his name is.
Okay. So we got Su Long playing Bruce Lee. What time in your life is he rocking?
He's
Has it
rock.
yet to come up? Has it already transpired?
He's like rocking when I was like between the age of like 8 and 12.
Nice.
But like he's just some
What
like
was
Chinese actor that I don't
what?
remember. Like I can't put a face to now.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's so great. It's like a blank slate.
Yeah.
What were you doing between the ages of 8 and 10 that is just so cinematographic?
I was like a little chubby kid who like couldn't control himself, and so I was learning how to grow like grow up, go through puberty, and try to like be a functional human, like an adult human being,
Mm-hmm.
and like learning like all the goods and bads and like all the do's and don'ts. And it's just like a time where uh, I wouldn't say I was like it was like I don't know how to explain it. It's just like the time where I was like mostly like learning everything,
Mm-hmm.
and like where when I started to think logically, and I was like, all right, cool, this is where the turning point is.
That's so
If that
awesome.
makes
I'm getting this image of him when he was an actor. You know, like I might be a little stereotypical. He's got a Fu Manchu. He's got the long open palm strikes going on, but he's an 8-year-old user, like chibiing him down. He's this little cute chubby Shaolin monk, master of martial arts motherfucker, just showing off in grade school. So
yeah,
awesome. This image in my head, I tell you, it'd make millions.
yeah, man. I mean, like I was a definite show off in school, so I was definitely a show off.
Nailed it. All right. Well, I'm sure when you were a kid, you had a favorite curse word, but perhaps when you were around your folks, you weren't allowed to say it. Do you have a favorite non-traditional curse word? A minced oath, if you will, that you can utter regardless of circumstance to really get that rage or that annoyance out of your system?
Yeah. So when I was growing up, I played soccer with a bunch of my Korean friends,
Mm-hmm.
and they taught me like Korean cuss words. And so I would like say like shibaseki or like kiseki. It was basically means like fuck or shit or something like that. And like nobody knew what it was until like uh they started hearing the Koreans say it and like talk to Korean parents and stuff like that. And I would never say it in front of the Korean parents. I would only say it in front of like the kids or like my parents or whatever.
So, can you spell it for us? Do you know how it's spelled?
Uh Shiba is like Shiba, and Kiseki is like Kiseki.
That's great. Shiba Kaseki?
Yeah,
Are you getting that mostly right?
yeah, or like we just shortened it to like Shibaseki. But yeah, it's like what my Korean friends always said when they like missed a goal in soccer or like got the ball stolen or like did something like that, mess something up.
That's rad.
Yeah. So now I just use like curse words like from different languages. Like I say like
Makes you sound more worldly. Yeah.
yeah, I mean like I say like a lot of like Spanish cuss words now because a lot of my friends are like Hispanic.
Well, I'm sure you would have a chance to utter plenty of those curse words when you. Nah, screw that transition. That transition sucks. What's a job that at some point in your life you wanted to pursue but are very glad you didn't?
Political science.
What was that?
So when I was in high school, I got into the Junior Statesman of America like camp thing. It
Mm-hmm.
was a summer camp where you took an intensive like IR course at like Princeton University. And so I was
Okay.
like, you're honor roll Asian kid, and I was like, sick, I'm going. I'll do this. I went, and I had not been used to like the amount of work that goes into like an intensive course like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like a slacker and like didn't care, and like my mannerisms were from an island, so we were like not as prim and proper as the American kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was not like very uh, I guess I didn't put my best foot forward. But also
Sure.
like listening to people debate and stuff about politics, I just realized that I'd be yelling at a wall the entire time, and nobody tries to find common ground anymore. And so I was just like, screw this. Like, I hate this. Like, I don't want to talk to someone who
Yeah.
will never like agree with anything that I say. Like, they don't even see like senses of meaning in what I say. So I'm like, it's useless. I'm not gonna do it. I don't care.
Figured out that you didn't want to try to break down that brick wall with your forehead. Sounds like a wise choice.
Hey man, for some people it works. For me, nah.
For some people, it does. Yeah, and that's the most important thing. Knowing, figuring out what works for you is like clutch. So it's very smart. Young Bruce Lee got it going on.
Yeah, I definitely am glad that I did not choose political science. I am not built for that world, dude. I have very controversial opinions.
And you also have a love of media,
Yes.
which neatly brings us into my next question. What media, whether it be book, graphic novel, TV show, or movie, have you been putting off that is next on your to consume list that you just can't wait to break open?
Oh, dude. So I'm a big anime dude. Have been since I was like 12. Um, Chainsaw Man has been on my list to read, not to watch, to read. For like the longest time, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been putting it off just because I was like, it's whatever. Like it's just something
Mm-hmm.
everybody's talking about. It's gonna be like Attack on Titan, where the white people ruin anime for me. And I watched the first couple episodes, and I was like, this is sick. I'll read it. It's fine, and I'm gonna start reading it like next week or something when I get more time. But like,
Right on.
yeah,
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of good about that one. I think there's a non-zero chance that as soon as I'm done recording this, that I crack open the first episode and see if it meets up the hype.
not gonna lie, it's for some people it's not their cup of tea,
Mm,
but I personally think it's a really good one.
sweet.
Yeah.
Let's.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Continue.
It just gives me like the vibes of like when Attack on Titan first like came out,
Yeah.
and like everybody became hype about it, and
Like,
so yeah,
yeah. I remember that time totally. I remember staying up till God knows when in the morning, watching all of like I think it was like all the episodes that were currently out of Attack on Titan. It was like the sun is coming out, and I was like, oh shit, I got to be up in like not that many hours to go back to work.
yeah,
That hype, that was real.
hype was really real.
All right. Well, lastly, before we throw it to a commercial break, if you could have listeners of this podcast hear one song of your choosing, which would it be?
Uh, it is Becoming God by Polyphia.
Do you mean playing
Playing
God by
God by
Polyphia?
Polyphia. My bad. Yeah, Playing God by Polyphia.
What about this track really speaks to you?
I grew up like wanting to play guitar like a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not as musically talented as I thought I was with my fingers. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but like a lot of my friends play guitar, and one of my friends, who I grew up with, who is now has a master's or like in music composition. He showed me this
Mm-hmm.
band like when we were like 13 before like or something, and it just like it's really good. Like the guy Tim Henson, who's like the lead guitarist, is like just amazing on like the guitar, and he's just like shredding, and he just like plays all these harmonics and like all these like sounds that like like you normally don't hear on like a guitar like in a song. Like it's like he's like singing with his fingers. It's freaking insane.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
All right. And with that, we're going to throw it to our first break. Feel free to stick around and enjoy the totally real commercial, or take a minute to enjoy Playing God by Polyphia. Or if you wanted to hear a song from a previous episode, check out the playlist on Spotify, Passionate People and Preposterous Peeve Podcast, Song Rex. That's a long title, I know. Don't worry, there's a link in the description. Either way, see you in a jiffy. Do you need 100 pounds of butter? Come on down to Company Street Company. What if I need 30 gallons of olive oil? Come on down to Company Street Company. But what if I just want one flatless bird roasted for a reasonable price? Come on down to Company Street Company. Okay, but... Just come on down to Company Street Company. We have everything for a better price. Free snacks, and employees who don't want to kill themselves. Or you, because we treat them like fucking human beings. Yeah, but... Yup. Even... Just get your ass down to Company Street Company, where the only sketchy thing we've ever done is enable frozen orange juice hoarders. Welcome back, everyone. So, I'm here as the one and only Bruce Lee. Bruce, what is your passion?
I really enjoy film, like filmmaking.
Right on. How did you get into that? As you mentioned earlier, your parents not so keen on the cinema.
So it kind of just fell in my lap, kind of. I was in Thespians, the International Thespian Society, when I was in high school, and I was doing like speech competitions and acting competitions and stuff like that. And then I realized I could do like the tech side, like the backstage, behind the camera stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my friends was like, "Hey man, there's not a lot of people who do film. Like we have the equipment in like the AV club. You should just come and like try it out." And I was like, "I'm down." So I did that for a little bit, for like my junior and senior year of high school. My senior year, I won a trip to the International Festival in Lincoln, Nebraska. And so I went to that, had a great time.
That's so weird that it's the international one and it's in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Listen, man, I didn't know. I just wanted to go. I just wanted to come to America.
I know, but it's so interesting when stuff like that. It's kind of beautiful because so much of the time it is in like on one of the coasts or like Chicago or something like that is like where the big stuff is held. So it is nice that smaller cities, especially smaller metropolitan capitals of states get some loving, but it is also kind of funny that's like, yes, this tent pole moment. Oh, where are we holding it? Lincoln, Nebraska.
Hell yeah, go Huskers.
Woo!
But yeah, I was there. I had a great time. I met like a bunch of like people who are like from the industry, and I met like the lady who was like an extra on like Breaking Bad. Like she did like the doctor
Sick.
and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Oh, you should pursue this." And I was like, "Maybe." And so like I went back home, then I went to college, and I had a conversation with my parents like in my transition from like high school to college, and they were like, "You need to make money." And I was like, "You're right." And so I did business. I did like international business and and marketing when I was in college. And then I found the mass communications department, and they do like newspaper, radio. They had their own radio station. They did podcasts. They did all the stuff. They need like the newspaper, but nobody really did like film and video. And so like the guy who was in charge of that entire program kind of like doted on me a little bit and kind of found me and
nice.
brought me into the fold, and then I triple majored in mass communications.
What backtrack real quick. What university was this?
Linfield College in now it's called Linfield University. It used to be called Linfield College. It's in McMinnville, Oregon.
Right on. Real quick, I was looking up the population of Saipan. It's a little on the small side. How many people were in your graduating class in high school?
I don't remember. Like probably 100, maybe 200.
Okay. So you go from this pretty small school of like less than 1,000.
Hold up, Doug is leaving the on his motorcycle. I can hear it. Little asshole.
What a show off. That is past guest Douglas leaving his footprint on yet another episode. What a jiggity
He
jerk.
just needs to leave, dude. Why did he turn on his motorcycle and not leave? But yeah, continue what were you saying?
So you go from this, small high school of under 1,000 to a college. How roughly the size? How do you remember how big did Linfield College feel?
It didn't feel big at all. It felt like the same. Um,
Okay, so you're very much at home with like the size and the kind of
y-
distribution, all that. It wasn't too. It didn't put you out of place at all.
no, not really. It was like I felt like a big fish in like a little pond the entire time. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely would have liked to go to a bigger school with like a little bit more programming, but like I don't know, it just didn't feel different from home. Like it was just super small knit community.
That's good.
Hmm.
I mean, it's always nice to. I think like for me, I don't know. My experience is that when I went from, because I grew up in a small town in Fallon, Nevada. The county population when I left, I think, was somewhere between 15 and 20,000, little tiny. And then I went to university or California State University, Sacramento, which is pretty darn big, and it was very jarring. And I wasn't able to study. I didn't really have good studying tactics either, but it was overwhelming. And I ended up failing and dropping out after just 2 semesters. And then after I got some experience and I went back to took my second try at university a decade later, I went to this little community college to start. It was a relatively decent sized community college, but it was still a community college. And then from there went to a pretty small California State University and California State University Monterey Bay. And like that feeling of comfortability really helped me excel and be able to like do classes. So that sounds like you made a pretty wise choice in picking something that was, that wasn't going to push you outside of your comfort zone in that direction at least.
Yeah, I get that. I just for me, moving to America was already like the most culture shock that I've ever like had in my
Absolutely, yeah.
life. Like, just like I'm 18 years old, like leaving my home for basically forever,
Yeah.
and like that was already a big shock to me. And like I have this instilled sense not to fail, no matter how hard it is. So I feel like if I had gone to a big school, even if I was like having a hard time, I'd figure it out. And that's kind of
Sure.
like how I've gotten to this point in my life. I've like figured it out. Um, and so like I think it's for me personally. I think going to a bigger school would have been better for me. And me because of my personality. I would have been able to thrive more if like there were people who knew me and didn't know me instead of
Sure.
everybody who just knew who I was and had like preconceived notions of like who I am and how I act.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you go to Linfield College, you do this triple major. How do you ever like does film kind of trickle into your system via the communications, or did you have to like pursue it even further, or like keep reaching out for it to get there from that point?
Right. So, like I said, it kind of fell in my lap. I was taking a video course with the mass communications department, and it was a like adjunct professor coming in and teaching us like how like film works and
Mm-hmm.
like in the industry. And it was like you need to make a 30-second like commercial, a 5 minute docu series, and like a 10-minute like short film. That was like your requirement for like the entire semester of class. And so uh, I made a commercial for like the school, and the dude
Mm-hmm.
really liked it. He was like, uh, "You should come and see how it really works in like the industry." And I also didn't. I also found out that he was also an alumni from my fraternity, so it made it super easy to make that connection.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of just brought me on as his like key PA for like a bunch of shoots. So I would commute like I wasn't working like completely like every day with him, but like when he
Mm-hmm.
had a shoot, like he would like call me up and I would drive from McMinnville, Oregon to like Portland and like work with him on like political videos for like political campaigns or like Nike shoots, Intel shoots, shoots with the Trailblazers and stuff like that. It kind of just fell in my lap, and he kind of just became my mentor after that. And so I started like I kind of worked with him like 3 years, 3 out of the 4 years I was at school.
That's rad.
Yeah, he kind of became like the person that kind of kept me in the industry, and I like he was actually the one who got me to move out to LA. So I was like, this is sick.
Damn. Talk about destiny, man.
Yeah, definitely the first person I called after I got this like my break.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
cool. So, how did your when this starts all happening for you? How did your parents feel about it? Were they like, "Oh, he's our son's being successful," or are they like, "Ugh, movies"?
they were like so I didn't tell them for the longest time. I started doing it as like like an internship. So I was like, oh, I have
Hmm.
this internship, and they're like, oh, what do you do? And I was like, I like work for like film company, and they're like, oh, he's doing like the business side of things, and I would just leave out that I'm like on set and like doing like
Yeah,
all this stuff, and I was like,
keep it on the
yeah, keep
DL.
it super down on the down low, and then I ended up telling them what it was in like my senior year, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool," but they're like, they don't know who the Trailblazers are. They know who like Nike and like Adidas and like Intel are. They're like, "Oh, that's
Hmm.
big," and I'm like, "Yeah, kind of." And they're like, "Are you gonna pursue this?" And then I was like, "I'm thinking about it," and they're like, "Are you sure? You got to be sure." Like, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna try to do this. I'm like, my foot's in the door. I'm gonna try to do this," and they were very against it at the very beginning.
So, when you told them, they were like, did they try to change your mind, or were they just like kind of, disappointed, or were they worried for you?
They were worried and they want me to continue going to school.
Hmm.
So what had happened was after my senior year, I was about to move to Los Angeles, and they were like, "Are you sure you don't want to just stay in school for a little bit longer? Like, do you not want to just like go and get like your master's or
Yeah.
something?" And I was like, "Nah, I think I'm gonna try my hand at this and figure it out." And um, of course, when you get to LA, you freelance like at the very bottom of the barrel. You just like pick up whatever you
Hmm.
can, and like everything is like all over the place. You don't know when your next job is. You don't know when the money's coming. You don't know when you can pay rent. You don't know when you're going to be able to buy things. And then
Hmm.
it just happened, and my parents are very very worried. They were like, "When you going back to school? Did you apply for your master's? Did you apply? Did you
Yeah.
do this? Did you do that?" And I was like, "I'm figuring out. Like, I don't know."
Have you gone back home since you moved out here to college, like to visit or anything like that?
I think I went back my first year of like school, but since
Hmm.
then I don't think I haven't gone back. So I'm like 7.5, 8 years.
Damn.
Yeah,
Is that something that you think is that like a part of your life that's closed? Or do you think that you will return home at some point?
I think I'll go back to visit at some point, like at least to see my parents.
Hmm.
There's not a lot left on the island that I like care about besides like my parents and the food. So like some of my friends are still there, but like other than that, there's not really a reason for me to go back unless I'm like trying to eat, see my parents, or like vacation.
Sure, sure. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
also expensive as hell to get back there.
Yeah, it's a flight and a half. It seems like the definitely isn't a straight shot. It takes probably multiple connecting flights to get there.
Yeah, yeah, it sucks.
So, you move down to LA, you get a job, you're freelancing. Who were some of your or did you have any like directors or editors, or who were your inspirations in the industry that you kind of wanted to be like, or really, pushed you into the industry and got you kind of interested in being a filmmaker?
Right. I didn't go through like the traditional like film school like upbringing, so I didn't know a
Mm-hmm.
lot of like directors like and styles and stuff that like kind of pushed me through. I was more like, all right, I'm gonna get here. This is what I want to do. But like, I just keep hearing like Spielberg has like a really good like mind for like sequencing, so he knows how
Mm-hmm.
everything looks basically. I also really like Stanley Kubrick at the time, where he was just like uh I forget whatever. But David Fincher also like was one of my big inspirations because he would like make you follow their subject when he was filming.
Mm-hmm.
He would do slight camera movements, so you would follow like that would follow his like subject if he like stood up or she stood up, or like something
Mm-hmm.
he just like a little up tilt if he stood up, or like a little down tilt if they sat down.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I guess those were a little bit of an influence, but they didn't like come till like later after I like started like people on set were telling me to like research directors and stuff like that, and I was like, all right, cool,
Mm-hmm.
I'll look into it.
If you were going to make a movie that's already been made, which do you think you'd want to make? Is there a movie that like stands out? You're like, man, I wish I could have made this movie. This like movie's so dope. It talks about what I want, or it does this thing that I really like, and I would have loved to have been the one to have done it.
Like remaking a good film, or do you want like if I were to like remake a
No,
film
no,
that
like if you could go back in time and be the person to have made that movie, is there a movie that you would have like loved to like? It's so good that you would have loved to have been the one who did it.
oh I have a I have a bunch of bad movies that I would like to remake, but like I think a
Okay,
really
what? No, no, that's good. What bad movies would you like to remake?
first of all, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I would love to remake that
Sure.
movie. Um, but like a good movie that I really wanted to that I wish I made was one of them is probably Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Movie's pretty sick.
Yeah. Do agree.
Like I wish I did that movie. Like Leo put on like one of the Leo, Jamie Foxx and Samuel L. Jackson put on like a freaking show.
Yeah, it's the best. I think it's some of the best performances in their respective careers for sure.
Hmm. Ocean's 11 is one. I think it's really cool.
Ugh. It's one of those movies that I can't start, or if I start it, I'm just gonna end up watching the whole damn thing. It's Soderbergh did such a great job on that movie. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, Ocean's 11 was really good. I watched all of them literally yesterday. 12 not as good. 13 horrible. 11 was good.
Levin is an all timer for
Yeah.
sure. So, what would you say is the biggest misconception about filmmaking by the wider world?
That you can fix anything in post. You can fix anything with a little CGI and editing. It is not true.
Well, I know that that is going to come up again in a second, so I won't. We don't need to explore that further just yet.
Okay.
But do you have a favorite non-obvious aspect about filmmaking that you'd like to kind of inform the listeners at home who maybe don't know that much about it?
Yeah. It takes a lot of like pre-planning, uh, a lot more pre-planning than it does production-wise to like make a film. Like you have to understand that like first the film like the for a film or television show it needs to be like there needs to be like a pitch, there needs to be development for it, there needs to like be a script or like some like story behind it, and then it has to
Hmm.
get greenlit by a bunch of people. And then in Hollywood there's like script readers like that'll literally just crush your dreams and say the script is like shitty, don't ever like bring this in front of me ever again.
Yeah.
And by the way, PAs do this. Like assistants will read the script and be like, "This is not good."
Yeah.
And all that happens, and then like you have to like find like a studio to produce it, all the money stuff, all the internal stuff, all the setting up and everything. That's the longest portion of like the planning portion is like the longest and most like arduous like part of like making a film. And then one of the hard parts is when you actually get into production and trying to have all the pieces align,
Hmm.
and like that it's I think that's the most fun part is production. And in production it's also like 16-hour days and like running your crew like into the ground, and then like after all that you still have to deal with the footage and putting it together and making it look good, which is in post. and
Hmm.
and like I just the one thing that like a lot of people don't understand is like just how much planning, time, and money go into just making like a film.
Yeah.
I mean, it.
Like,
Yeah.
what do you think the average from, like, let's say, let's pretend it's done because the writing process is like such a, expansive, or, there's some people that talk about writing something over the course of a week, and there's some people that talk about writing something and it takes years. So assuming the script is done with its first draft, how long would you ballpark estimate from, the script being handed off to a PA to be read with rewrites with and to, is released in the theaters? How long do you think that is?
Uh, from that point, I would say
Yeah.
like a year and a half, 2 years maybe to like
Yeah.
see it on screen.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that's if everything doesn't go badly.
yeah, 100%. But like if you were like doing like that's for like a movie. But like if you were doing like a
Yeah.
short film for yourself, everything could be done in like a year, like 6 months, a month.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like
Yeah.
for like a movie and trying to go to the like going through like all the right channels, like that's gonna take
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah. Like 2 years is like if everything goes smoothly.
Hmm.
And that's if like the amount of rewrites is small. That's if it gets to the right people that have the money, and it is like one of those things that is, I absolutely agree. It's a beautiful aspect, but it's also one of those things that like so many people, oh, it's not going to take that long. It's going to take a long time, and that's if everything goes perfectly. It's
Yeah,
2 years. It's like everything went right.
yeah.
You hear about these things in development hell, and that's if one thing gets snagged up in like the wrong part of the
Oh,
process,
dude, it's
or
insane.
like money falls out. It's like can take so long.
It's
It's
insane.
wild.
Like 2 years is like fast.
Yeah. So, not to skimp out on it, we're going to move from the passionate to the preposterously obnoxious. Bruce Lee, what is your preposterous peeve?
It's definitely when people say that you can fix everything in post.
Why, why don't you learn them peeps at home why that is so annoying for you?
Because that is a lie that people tell you to keep so that you can keep rolling, keep moving on during production, so you can save some money and save some time. Um, it's almost like it's easy to like blur stuff and hide stuff if it's like reality TV, but if you're in a movie or like a scripted series, it's super hard to like keep color continuity and everything if the lighting's off, if
Hmm.
something's off in um, like costuming, or if like a prop that was supposed to be gone is still there. It's really hard to remove everything in post because post is supposed to be there for sequencing, CGI, and all that stuff. But like we still get like the Starbucks cup in um,
Game
Game
of
of Thrones,
Thrones.
you know,
Yeah.
like even like with like a killer post team, sometimes we miss stuff. Sometimes like the like small little details go unnoticed by everybody, and then it gets noticed by the
Hmm.
public later, right?
Yeah.
And like a lot of things get affected. Like if your lighting is super low in one shot and it's super like high in the other shot, like the shots are not going to match, and like the continuity is going to be a little weird. Um, Shadows are going to be weird. Like sure, like we editing software has gotten to the point where it's smart enough to like read things,
Hmm.
but it's also like not like it's super hard to like try to like get things like the same, like like how do I explain it? Like just get like two scenes like the same because you're using
Hmm.
cross shots, you're using like multiple shots for like a scene, and it's just like if they don't match, it just looks off to you, and it doesn't
Hmm.
feel like doesn't bring you into the fantasy that it's trying to bring you into, and it just kind of like
Yeah.
shuts you out. And another thing, yeah,
So, no good.
another thing is just like one of the big things in filmmaking is audio, just being able to hear like
Hmm.
everything in the background, the foley and everything. And a lot of like shoots I've been in LA have been near like airports, and we have like planes flying across, helicopters or something, and then we have like loud ass cars on the street. And like, sure, like we get like the audio and we try to keep it clean, but like even with like how smart Da Vinci is right now, we still can't
Hmm.
like take out all the sound in the background. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Would you say that the problem with this idea of like we'll fix it in post is it that it's you're incapable of doing it with the technology provided, or is it that it's putting too much of a burden on the post team
I,
to do it?
I think it's putting too much burden on the post team.
Okay.
Um, like I'm pretty sure that if like we worked double our hours, we'd probably be able to do it. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I just like I
There's so many hours. There's only so many hours in a day.
yeah, and we're trying to like turn the work like just get the work done.
Yeah.
Um, and so
This would be akin to if I may boil this down for the layman's at home who might not know kind of what we're the way and what we're talking about here. This would be the akin to if instead of when making a mess in a classroom, you went, "Oh, it's okay, the janitors will clean it up," as opposed to you taking the 2 seconds to fix what you messed up. And then the janitor goes to every single classroom. They only have X amount of days or X amount of hours in the day when the students aren't there, and each classroom has like a spill that has dried because the kids in the classroom, the teacher in the classroom didn't take 2 seconds to clean up, to just throw that away or to just like get a paper towel and just clean that up. Now it's like congealed on the floor, and now you have to deal with this. And it's each room has that where you're going, and not to compare your work to that of a janitor, but is that kind of in the right area where it's just like it's not that it's one, it's that it's they keep doing it with every single one, and it's gotten harder for you guys to fix it in post than it would be for them to reshoot it when just on a normal day.
yeah, I would agree to with your analogy. It's just like if you like it. Sure, if one scene was like taking too long and you have to like it's just like let's say it's just a prop, right? Or like the
Mm-hmm.
background or like lighting. Sure, like it's not lighting, but like something in the background. Sure, we can probably like a Starbucks cup. We could probably like rotoscope it out. But like if you're
Mm-hmm.
like every single scene was like that, it'd just be like why, right? We have to like
Yeah.
just thinking about it like this. Like for every single clip that we're gonna use, we're gonna have to like color and then match, sync the audio and everything. Make sure that like when they're talking, like the right words come out and doesn't look like they're out of sync. And then like we would have to like make sure they all look the same, make sure they all like feel the same, make sure that like the transitions like don't pull you out from watching from enjoying, you know what I mean, like just like
Mm-hmm.
keep you immersed.
Yeah. So, it, curious as to your professional expertise, the Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones, who obviously they shouldn't have had it on set. Whoever was set supervisor should have noticed that. But do you think that is more, with it being in the end product, do you think that was more set supervisor's fault, post production's fault, or is it like a kind of equally balanced error there?
I think that it's an equally balanced like error there because mainly you can't really just blame one
Okay.
specific department. I feel like, in my personal opinion, because like if you're just shifting blame to someone, like nothing's ever gonna get fixed, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that sure the set supervisor should have noticed the cup, and then the post team should have been also been able to notice the cup and like clear it out. But like if they didn't get any like specific like oh get rid of this cup, or like
Mm-hmm.
they were like in a rush to get it like finalized and everything, uh I guess it's like both their faults. And also
Yeah.
like after you finish like the cut, there are gonna be executives watching the whole thing. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they have to like screen it before they send it out. So like I don't know. I think
Yeah.
everybody had a little hand in that little mistake.
Well, speaking of that occurrence, do you have a story where, as you work in post, where it really shined the brightest, that bullshit of like, hey, you guys can just fix it. You guys are magicians. Where you were given like a daily or a rough cut that you guys had to like clean up that was just a hot mess.
I've never had that experience because I'm like just getting trained to do it. But my buddy
Mm-hmm.
Peter, who works with me, he's seen some shit. There was this one show where it's like like a cooking competition, like in a food truck, right?
Okay.
And they have all these cameras, like hidden cameras and stuff like that. And he was showing me that he was like how to rotoscope them out and like put blurs up and everything. And he's like, dude, how can like they like why didn't they just set it up so that they run the wire along the wall and down so I don't have to like just like try to like get
Every
rid of
single
get rid
shot.
of
Yeah.
all this like tangled wire and stuff. And he showed me like the scene before he did all the work and after he did all the work. The cameras weren't hidden, dude. The cameras were everywhere. Like they were in their face, they were everywhere. Like it
Yeah.
was bad. And then when he like, but all the work that he did was super solid, and like you could barely tell that anything was there.
After he gave his soul and firstborn up to the show, he was able to fix it in post.
Dude, the guy is good. The guy is really good.
All right. With that tasty nugget, we're going to head to our second ad break. But don't go anywhere, because when we do get back, Bruce is going to enter the lightning round. This podcast is sponsored by Puppets. One of the easiest things you can do with your hands and a light source in a dark room. Over human history, millions of people have used Puppets to great enjoyment. With limitless possibility and no upfront costs, Puppets will have your hands busy forever. Or until the power comes back on. So what are you waiting for? The power to go out? Oh yeah, right. Okay. Well, but when it does, we'll see you and your puppets on the wall. And we're back. Bruce, are you ready to enter the lightning round?
No, but I will do it.
Nice. All right. Well, put however much I owe in alimony on red. Is there a price for you to give up your passion forever?
Yes.
Make the food or do the dishes?
Make the food 100%.
Did you ever cheat on a test in school?
100%.
Are you out of touch, or is it the children who are wrong?
The children are wrong. Fuck them kids.
Would you rather have your inner monologue sound like Gilbert Gottfried or Fran Drescher?
Gilbert Gottfried.
Would you rather read the cue cards while wearing the crown or live in a hovel and speak your mind?
Live in a hovel and speak my mind.
Do you create your own thoughts, or do you just listen to them?
Both.
You're having the best day of your life. What happens next? Another amazing thing or something terrible?
Something terrible.
Is professional wrestling cool or lame?
It's pretty cool.
Stub your toe or make small talk with strangers?
Make small talk with strangers 100%.
Would you rather have a class of 40 students for 5 months or 20 students for 10 months?
20 students for 10 months.
Happiness or glory?
Happiness.
Nick Cage, best or worst ever?
Best.
Would you rather be an omniscient amnesiac or have a nat 20 charisma with halitosis?
Nat 20 charisma with halitosis.
Plane flight or road trip?
Road trip.
A day in or a night out?
Night out.
Salty or sweet?
Salty and sweet.
Caramel or caramel?
Caramel.
Would you rather meet your mortal demise by vicious werewolf attack or single zombie bite?
Werewolf attack.
Vocal or instrumental?
Instrumental.
Would you rather watch the first movie of a trilogy or watch the first 6 episodes of a new series that only has 1 season?
Trilogy.
Could you eat 37 of your favorite food for $5,000 in a 1-hour time limit?
Yes.
Congratulations, you've survived the lightning round. Ba-ba-da-ba. But before we move on to your prize, I, like many listeners at home, would like to now know, what is your favorite food?
It is fried rice.
You could eat... Okay. So when I said 37, do you think I meant bowls or do you think I meant grains of fried rice?
I thought you meant grains of fried rice.
Very sneaky, sis. Touche. Well played. Well played.
Listen, man,
Give me that bag.
you didn't specify.
Indeed, indeed. What lightning round question, now that you have successfully defeated it, would you like to ask me and in turn be asked of future guests?
Would you rather die in a fire or drown?
So I think I'd choose fire just because I've been told that you asphyxiate and you kind of like pass out before you die. Where drowning, I think it's kind of the same, but it's a lot more. I think you're a little bit more cognizant. And also, like, you'd feel the pressure building up in your lungs, where the other one you would just kind of like have a tough time breathing, which would suck, but like, I don't know. Feels like a little less hardcore. What
Okay.
about you?
I'd probably die in a fire.
Not prefer to. Just he's seeing the future. I'm probably gonna die in a fire.
I mean, drowning is, dude. I'm from an island, bro. Drowning doesn't really happen if you know how to swim. I'm kidding.
uh, all right, man. As we come to the end here, anything you want to plug, shout outs you'd like to give, places people can find you, your content?
You can find me on Instagram at the real Bruce Lee. That's about all the social media I have besides Facebook, where I used to contact my parents and buy magic cards. Um, I
Oh, cool,
yeah,
cool.
I don't use Twitter. Twitter is dying.
It is a dumpster fire as we speak, to be sure.
Yeah,
Do you have any friends or family they'd like to nominate to come on this podcast so they too can suffer as you have today?
yeah. I think one person that's like amazing. Her name is Bailey Norton. She is a comedian from Missouri. Uh, I,
Sweet.
I used to work with her at when I did COVID vaccination, COVID testing. She is an amazing person and amazing comedian. I think she also writes for Reductress, if that makes anything. But like,
Sweet.
yeah, she's amazing. I think that if you had her on the podcast, she'd do really well.
Sweet. All right. Look out, Bailey Norton. We're coming for you. Well, thank you, Bruce, for being my guest today. And a special thanks to my editor, Richard Ashford, and my composer, Joshua Gibbons. And thank you. Yes, you listening at home or wherever you found time to appreciate this. Time is the most precious commodity we have, and I appreciate you spending yours with us. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, like, or just share it with a friend. Every little bit helps. Or if you already have and are out of episodes to listen to, don't worry, we put out a new episode every Monday at midnight on Soundcloud, YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes at Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves Podcast. And a very special thanks are due to our patrons, Sabella Yellow. And if you'd like to join said illustrious ranks and have your name read aloud, just head on over to patreon.com/Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves Podcast. And remember, folks, if days are numbered and songs are sung, at the end of the day, I think we've all won. Stick around. Great things have only just begun.